So Lee won't be used for the next 3 to 5 weeks. He'll continue training, doing what he's been doing, and then he'll be reassessed in 3 to 4 weeks. So somewhere between 3 and 5, we hope. But again, these things, it's just time. That's the time frame we're looking at the moment. Look, he's running, he's training, and then from time to time, I think he might be having bouts of that. So that's something that was discussed yesterday. You know, Lee is Lee. We all love him to bits. He's a great rugby player and he's world class. And you know, he's as frustrated as anybody is. And but his health and well-being comes first. Yeah, Jake's progressing well, and you know, he should be fine to be involved in rugby over the next, well, I'd like to think next 2 to 3 weeks. So you know, that's all things going well, which would have him in line for Wales if selected. Yep, they're on a similar path actually, time-wise, and so hopefully both those guys will be back playing, you know, around that sort of Leinster week, which is first week in camp. So again, a lot will depend on what Warren and his team do, and then if they are selected, if they're released. So, but I'd imagine both would need some rugby because they've been out for some time. Yeah, we just come off the training field now, and he's trained this morning. So there's certain protocols throughout the week he's going through, which will finish with a lot of contact work on Thursday. Fingers and toes crossed. So far, so good. He came through yesterday's session. He's come through this morning's, and now we'll wait and see how he comes through Thursday. But you know, if he's available, then we may have to put him in the 23. We don't want to. We'd rather give him the next 2 weeks just to fully strengthen that foot right up, and then make sure he's available for the period while the internationals are away. But as we know, Tom Phillips can't play this weekend, so we've got what we had for the game against the Dragons minus Tom Phillips. So we've got to find a loose forward, and the only one that could possibly play is Josh McLeod. So there is a risk attached to that, obviously, and we're weighing that up and going through a daily routine with him. Pro 14, you know, Josh should be back. Will Boyd should be back. Hopefully Blade Thompson around that time. So we've got players coming back, but it's just this. The rules of this competition don't allow us to go outside the squad, and we've had, unfortunately, a lot of injuries. We've had to bring players in, so we can't bring any more in. Yeah, from our point of view, we've just got to make a decision on Josh McLeod. There's a risk attached, we know, by bringing him maybe a week or two early off a stress fracture in a foot. So, you know, we do know that if it does go again, it's a plate in there for life, and it's about a 12-week recovery. So these are the real-life situations we're dealing with. And he's going through a rigorous daily plan this week, which he'll have to pass. If he feels any pain at all in the foot, then he won't be included in the 23, and we'll go from there. Yeah, it's about a performance for us. You know, we've turned over a new calendar year. We got a much-needed win on the weekend. It wasn't the prettiest of wins, but it was a win, and that was important. I think now what we've talked about at the start of the week, and we'll talk more about during the week, is about putting on a performance at home that we're going to be proud of. There's a lot of pride at stake here. We do have a pretty good home record over the last few years, and we would like that to maintain. It's an English team coming down, playing against a Welsh team. There's a lot of history. They're a great side. They've had a great record in this competition, so there's a lot to play for. You know, we look back at the first fixture we played at their place, and you know, we gave them a 10-point start in both halves. We were able to claw that back, and then you know, we weren't able to finish the game off. In fact, they did. So we were disappointed with that performance, and we'd like to go out there and have a very, very good performance. There's no pressure on us for, you know, 4 points to qualify. So that's out the door, and it's really about guys going out and expressing themselves now, and we'll be encouraging them to do that. We're a rugby team, whether it's amateur or professional. I know personally, I hate losing, and so do all the people on the squad. So we'll be doing everything we can to get a result. I can assure you of that. Well, we're not a full-strength side for obvious reasons, but in terms of what's available, we're just looking at people like John Fox have played 11 out of the last 12 games, which is far too many. But, you know, we've had to do what we've had to do. He's one that will get a rest this week. We rested Gareth Davies last week, and we'll rest some next week. So it's just about being smart and looking at game time and knowing what's coming up in terms of Six Nations, but also the important run-in for Pro 14. So we've just got to look at minutes played and be sensible. Steph will be involved in the 23 this week, and he'll be involved the following week. We've set high standards at the club here for ourselves. We've had a terrific run over the last couple of years. I think my comment after the game against the Blues, there was some booing, probably thrown at the team and maybe some officials as well. But I put that down to frustration. They're used to success at home, and they saw a pretty poor performance. I take that on the chin. I know, it's easy coaching and playing when you're winning, and sometimes you've got to dig deep when you're under pressure, and that's what the group's doing, and that's what Ken was alluding to. Look, around the place, everybody feels it when things aren't going well. I personally know that the group's working very, very hard to put things right. We're looking at the competition now, Pro 14, for example. We're looking at our run-in. We're looking at Edinburgh's run-in, Treviso's run-in, Ulster's run-in, and we think we've got a reasonable run-in. We know we're going to have some players coming back off the injured list, so we're pretty excited about that and pretty upbeat. We were really, really happy and relieved to have got that result on the weekend, which keeps us alive in the Pro 14. So, it's just about working hard together. And Ken had just come off the pitch. He's an emotional guy. That's why he's our leader. He leads with a lot of emotion, and you can see that in his performances. And for me, he's one of the best in the world at what he does. And he's certainly a great leader around this group. So I support him 100%, and vice versa. We've got a very tight group. I think you just got to look at Ken's performances across the season. And if you look at our internationals generally, there's been some solid performances when they've come back, and there's been some that haven't performed as well as they would have liked, and they're the first to admit that. Ken's one, though, that has been a top performer. Every week, his stats, his work rate, the enthusiasm he brings to the game, the physicality he brings is top drawer, and we can't fault his work. He is leading from the front. No matter what jersey you put on his back, he's a true warrior, and this club should be very, very proud of him and what he's achieved. And I've got nothing but full of admiration for the performances he puts out week in and week out. And he's carrying niggles, but he's just putting the team first, which is what we're about. Yeah, Gareth, I think he played a lot of games on the trot. He's done very, very well. He just started to tire a bit in the last couple of games and in the last quarters, and so we pulled him off and sat him down, and he wanted to play, as all players do, but we said no, in the big picture. He needed a break, which he had last week. He gets more game time this week, but he's had monitored training, making sure that he's got plenty of gas in the tank for a sad day.